In this lesson, we dive into the bits and bytes of a typical PLC program. If you've done any computer software programming in the past, you will find a lot of similar terms and syntaxes here. We will review different variable types, program elements, and control functions you will use to construct the code. By completing this lesson, you would be able to understand and describe standard data types in PLC program, user-defined type or UDT, logical gates and math functions, and timers and counters. PLC code is composed of operands and variables, just like a computer program. In a typical program, variables must be defined and their types must be specified. We will go over some of the most commonly used data types in PLC programming in this session. Variables in the program will be declared using either standard data types or user-defined types. UDT will be discussed later in this lesson. Basic and complex data types are the two categories of standard data types. Complex data types are built based on basic data types. In the basic group, the most widely used data types are Boolean, integer, and real. For the complex group, that would be array and structure. Let's take a close look at each one. The variables with only two binary states are defined using the Boolean type. This corresponds to many of the variables you deal with in a PLC application. For example, every digital input or output channel which has only an on or off state will be assigned a Boolean tag. 0 and 1 or false and true will be used to represent Boolean variables and tags. Any variable or tag that can be represented by natural number will be defined of type integer. There are various variations of type integer, depending on the length of declared variable as seen in this diagram. Integers are 2 bytes long and represent a range of values from -32,678 to +32,677. The term short integer refers to an integer that is represented only by 1 byte. The size of a double integer is 4 bytes. The unsigned type integer is another category that only includes positive values. In addition to Boolean and integer variables, in some cases, you may need to utilize real tags for floating point decimal variables. For example, to ensure appropriate reading and scaling of real-world variables like temperature and pressure via PLC analog inputs, you may better use tags of type real. In terms of length, real tags could be either 32 or 64 bits. Array data type is used when you have multiple variables of same type and you need to index them. For example, in the case of bottling machine, the bottle should go through multiple positions. You can store those positions in an array of integer or real values. To access an array element, you can refer to index number within the bracket. Keep in mind that arrays are a little bit limited in PLCs and depending on the processor type, you may not be able to define dynamic type array or array with variable lengths. For further information, refer to your PLC programming manual. When using arrays with parameterized index, make sure that the index number doesn't go beyond the defined range. That may cause some unwanted behavior in your PLC program. The structure type allows a programmer to group together all of the variables and parameters associated with a control object. For example, we have created a struct variable that contains all of the signals and parameters associated with the main motor. Inside a structure, you can use complex data types like struct and array as well. To access structure elements, dot separator will be used, like mainMotor.start or mainMotor.speed. By building on existing data types, you can create your desired customized type. For example, let's assume in our machine we have several motors, all with similar parameters, as we saw in the struct example. Instead of copy-pasting the structure multiple times for each motor, we can create a user-defined type or UDT in the form of a structure and refer it to as motor type. Keep in mind that this is just a template and not a variable until you create an instance. The defined UDT will be added as a model to the library of your application project. As soon as you create an instance of this type, a memory space will be allocated for UDT elements, and you can assign values to them, like conveyor motor and lifter motor in this example. To construct a program other than variables, we also need instructions. Each PLC platform may offer a unique set of instructions with a description manual of several hundreds of pages. Going into the detail of every PLC program instruction is out of the scope of this course. However, the frequently used instructions fall into following categories, and we will have a short overview of each group next: bit instruction, math and computing functions, data move and conversions, and program control. In the bit instruction library, you will find all the logic elements needed to create your code. Some commonly used items are normally open and normally closed contacts, relay coil, and or instructions, set and reset operations, plus instructions to catch the rising or falling edge. All calculation instructions, including 4 basic math operations and various math functions like square root, logarithm, sine and cos, and also all forms of mathematical comparisons, are found in the math function group. You can also create a user-defined block and include your computational formula into it. All functions are available in different versions to accommodate various data types such as integer and real. If your program has non-binary variables, you will probably utilize functions like move to copy a value from one location to another. When using the move function with variables of different lengths, be careful not to truncate or overflow the result. You will also get into situations where you need to convert data from one format to another, such as rounding up the result of a floating point calculation. Conversion instructions come in handy in these scenarios. Program control instruction group includes commands such as conditional jump to a label, calling a subroutine or function block, break and exit from a piece of code based on a condition, and stop the controller. Some of these are advanced instructions and have to be used carefully only by experienced programmers. Timers and counters are 2 common PLC programming elements. Timers help you properly build and manage a time sequence. Counters, on the other hand, serve as a control mechanism that assists with interlocking. Let's take a closer look at each one individually. The main purpose of using timers is to create delays between input and output signals in the PLC programs. Timers also offer good solutions when you need to generate pulses of specific lengths. Timers have a base time and measure the time by counting the increments of the defined time base. In most PLCs, you can adjust the time base to fine-tune the precision of your timers. For example, a timer might have a time base of 10 milliseconds, while another one has a time base of 1 second. Obviously, you can measure the time more precisely with the first one. Each PLC may have its own set of timers that are unique to that platform. To learn how each timer works, you need to review its timing diagram. However, when using IEC timers, all PLCs follow the same models. IEC 61131-3 standard defines 3 types of timers. Let's have a quick look at timing diagram of each one. Pulse timer, when the input is activated with a rising edge, timer output gets active for the duration specified by the PT parameter. On delay timer, when the input is activated with the rising edge, timer output gets active after a configured delay time specified by the PT parameter. Off delay timer. When the input is deactivated with the falling edge, timer output will be deactivated after a configured delay time specified by the PT parameter. To understand how the timers work, it is better to review a PLC timer application. We will look at one next. TON. In this example, we review the behavior of an on-delay timer. By starting the process in this machine, the product moves into the oven and the heater turns on. We need to heat up the product for only 3 seconds. With an on-delay timer, we can simply implement the required logic. The start command triggers the timer that is configured to delay 3 seconds. After the configured time has elapsed, timer output bit will be activated. That bit has been used to turn off the heater. We used an on-delay timer in our solution. However, it is possible to use a different timer type for the same logic sequence. The choice is the preference of the programmer. For example, in this machine, we could use a pulse timer to generate the similar behavior. Counters. Similar to timers, counters are software replacement for electronic or mechanical counters. You can find 3 types of counter blocks in every PLC system: counting up, counting down, and a mix. They are widely used in industrial applications, most often to keep track of product quantities. A PLC counter simply counts the pulses. Every time the counter binary input switches from 1 to 0, it increments the count if it's an up counter or decrements if it's a down counter. The number of counted pulses is displayed by counter actual value. Every counter has also a reset input that by applying a rising edge signal, the counted value will be reset. Typically, the PLC CPU provides a continuous system pulse with predefined cycle time like 1 second. Interconnecting that to a counter, you can simply measure time by counting the clock pulse. Sometimes it is more convenient this way rather than using timers, especially in cases when you want to pause a sequence and keep track of the time. You can configure a counter to latch an output when it counted to a preset number. This scenario is used a lot in production machines. For example, in below packaging machine, we want to activate boxing process when 4 products are in the packing area. We preset our counter with 4 as set point. The proxy sensor that detects the products is connected to the counter input. Similar to timers, counters are software replacement for electronic or mechanical counters. You can find 3 types of counter blocks in every PLC system: counting up, counting down, and a mix. They are widely used in industrial applications, most often to keep track of product quantities. A PLC counter simply counts the pulses. Every time the counter binary input switches from 1 to 0, it increments the count if it's an up counter or decrements if it's a down counter. The number of counted pulses is displayed by counter actual value. Every counter has also a reset input that by applying a rising edge signal, the counted value will be reset. Typically, the PLC CPU provides a continuous system pulse with predefined cycle time like 1 second. Interconnecting that to a counter, you can simply measure time by counting the clock pulse. Sometimes it is more convenient this way rather than using timers, especially in cases when you want to pause a sequence and keep track of the time. You can configure a counter to latch an output when it counted to a preset number. This scenario is used a lot in production machines. For example, in below packaging machine, we want to activate boxing process when 4 products are in the packing area. We preset our counter with 4 as set point. The proxy sensor that detects the products is connected to the counter input and sends a pulse every time a product passes by. When counted number reaches to 4, counter output is activated and triggers the boxing process. Before using a PLC counter, make sure to read its description and understand how it works, because some PLC platform may offer the same counter with a relatively different behavior.